Hey, welcome to the Runaways podcast. My name is Cody. We are back. We are basically 1 week, at least for us, from London. There will not be an episode next week because we will be on planes headed to London, and we will get to play. I am very excited. But this last weekend, we had a bunch of exciting stuff happen. Noah and then a bunch of other players on our team went to Milwaukee for the team event and then the PTI afterwards. We were lucky enough to have Shane and Naib and John's team end up taking down the entire thing, which is pretty sweet. And then Noah ended up getting second in the PTI event. So Noah, you want to tell us a little bit about your weekend? Because you were doing pretty. I don't actually know how your team event went. I think you
Mhm.
personally had a pretty good day, and then
Yeah.
the PTI event was like super good.
Yeah. So I'll talk some about it now, but just also a quick plug. If you're a premium member of our Discord, I did a full tournament write up of both days. So you can go through and read that and kind of get the detailed round by round how my experience was. But in general, it was like a super fun weekend. I was like totally drained when I came back. It was like my goal basically going into the weekend was I'm going to play as many paper games of FAB as possible before London, just so I can like lock in my reps since I played Enigma and I haven't really played Enigma in person before this. And I almost achieved my goal. I think I played the second most games out of anybody at the tournament. Um, so the first day, it was me, Lucas, and Austin, a new member of our team. We played Austin on new, Lucas in the middle on Aurora, and then me on the side with Enigma. And to start the day, it went about as poorly as it could go. Lucas was in the middle, and we paired into some people who are popular in the Purple Discord. I think it was I'm gonna butcher some of the names for sure, but Blazing for Lethal was the Kano in the middle, and then I think Flame Dog was the Fang on one side, and then I'm not sure who the name of my opponent was, but yeah, it was a Fang, a Kano, and I played against a Slippy. And me pairing into Slippy turned out to be quite the arch nemesis over the weekend. um, so yeah, round one, I was shuffling up since I didn't really have a sideboard plan for Slippy before the tournament. And before I had even finished presenting my deck to my opponent to cut, Lucas turns over. He's like, "Yeah, I lost." He got exploded by the Kano on literally turn one. Like the Kano goes first, plays Epot Arsenals. Lucas like does some plays, has two floating, and is about to draw from his Written in the Stars. And the Kano's like, okay, it's go time, and then just Wildfire for 8 into Floodgates into another spell into Blazing, and he died. So yeah, that was tough. And then me and Austin, our games both dragged on like super long. Austin playing into Fang, which is typically like a more difficult matchup for new, but he was able to get the win. And then I also felt like I was in a pretty winning position where I had a mirror guy with 7 counters and a shield to protect it. And life totals were like about even. I think we were both at around like 10 or so. And then I draw a hand of 3 Chi, and he plays red pick to pieces. And I'm like, well, I guess I have been defeated in this game. So that was a very sad start where I thought I had a chance with my my big mirror guy, and it was not to be. But we rallied pretty well. We started winning a bunch of games until we encountered in round 5, I think it was the super team with Jacob, Michael, and Michael. It was either I know it was round 6. Sorry, round 6 we played into them. And my game, it was in similar fashion to Lucas, where it was kind of a non-game. I paired into Michael Fung in the Enigma Mirror, and by turn 3, I had 2 mirror guys with 5 counters and 2 shields with a counter because I'd resolved the Sacred Art, and both of those mirror guys had swung twice. So yeah, I won the game at 35. It was not much of a game. Definitely shows that sometimes you can just win by drawing the nuts and not necessarily being a more skilled pilot, since I'm sure Michael is a much better Enigma player than me. Um, but unfortunately, the other teammates weren't able to take down their matches, so we lost that one and then lost the next round. But we decided to play the final round just to get more practice, and ended up finishing the day 5-3 as a team, and I went 6-2. So then on Sunday, I was not really feeling like there was any cards that stood out as being bad or good, in terms of like this card was an overperformer as a 1 of or 2 of, I should play 3, or this card was like terrible, I want to cut it. So I was just like, I'll ship basically the same list. I think I changed like 1 blue. And round 1 pairing, I'm into an Azuri with 72 cards. And I'm like, oh no. I know this should be like a good matchup, but I'm always scared when I get paired into a good matchup. You know that curse in card games, right? When your opponent's like dooming before the match, they're like, oh no, this is such a bad matchup. Why did I get this round 1? You feel a little bit of a curse of like, something like wild is going to happen in that match.
Mm-hmm.
So the wild thing here was there was just like randomly death touches pulled out on like turn 16. I was like, wait, where did this come from? I was not expecting the death touch technique, and that card is quite strong. So luckily I was able to pull it out with like only 2 or 3 minutes left on the clock. We were kind of playing fast at the end. And yeah, so then just continuing through the day, played a bunch of different matchups. I think my day overall outside of that match went pretty smoothly. There was a quite funny interaction in a match I played against Victor. Another example of one of those like games that you're going in with the opponent thinking it's super unfavored, but the match actually ends up being close. Where I won a test of strength after he sacked his shield to reclash and hit the 3rd test of strength on top of his deck. So that was pretty nice. But what was not very nice was later on in the game, he won a trounce, hitting a thunk and a golden sun, and then sent a CNC with a red pummel. So for 8 plus 4 is 12. And my hand was 3 D-Reacts, a Chi, and I had a set D-React. So not only did I take everything, lose all my cards and my board, and do nothing on the next turn, but he then followed it up with another CNC pummel, then Zealous into Hammer, then Spinal Pummel. And I was like, oh my goodness, I'm getting blunderbust right now. But I was able to come back and just do the Enigma thing at some point because the deck is very silly. Then I got to play some matches on camera, which is pretty cool. I really like playing on stream, especially when Ethan is the one doing the stream, because I know it's going to be like high quality, something like fun to look back to. I think the VODs are up on the Min-Max channel, if anyone is interested in watching some of those. And yeah, so I had played 2 more Slippies in this tournament, the same person, but paired into them twice. And I still have not managed to reduce their life total to 0, despite my best efforts. So going to be looking to do that moving forward. But yeah, super fun weekend overall, and definitely a great event. I look forward to more in the future.
Yeah, you had a pretty good weekend. I know I just kept like randomly turning on the stream, and I was like, oh, it's Noah again. Oh, it's Noah again. Or, oh, it's Shane. Like, so it was a pretty cool weekend to see a bunch of the guys. Dan, I know you had a much less exciting weekend than Noah did. But how's your week prepping for London so far?
Yeah, no, it's been pretty good. I got the 2 armories, which is more than my usual one. So a little extra in-person reps. Had a great time watching the stream, like you were saying. Was pretty jealous not to be there. I think Cody had the same, but flights from this area were like starting at $600 if you did like in suboptimal time. So I got priced out of this one, but that's okay. I had a Pro Tour stuff to work on. Yeah, it's going okay. I'm starting to spiral a little bit and question my choices, but here we are. I leave in what day is it? It's Tuesday. I leave in 3 days. I fly. So I'm doing fine.
I don't know what it is about this Pro Tour, but like I feel pretty good about CC. I feel horrendous when it comes to like draft. But I even feel like a little more unprepared on CC than I think I normally am. It's just been weird, this event. And it's not like I haven't put a bunch of time in. It's just like, I don't know. I don't know what it is about this one, but I feel it's like the first Pro Tour I'm going to where I feel significantly underprepared so far. Still have time to like resolve some of those issues, but normally by now it's just like tightening things up.
And what do you think it is that makes you feel underprepared?
Well, I know it's draft. Like my results in draft have been horrendous.
I mean, like for CC, like what makes you think that like the time you've spent has not been like paying off?
No, it's just more like I feel like there's so much more I could still learn.
Mm-hmm.
That's like the difference. Normally when I'm getting to this part, I'm just like, okay, there's not a ton to learn anymore. It's just like tighten these things up, find the last 5%. And like currently it's just like, I feel like I could dig another 20% out somewhere. Like, I think that's possible. It feels like there's so much left on the table.
Mm-hmm.
I can say for me, my lack of feeling prepared is my lack of preparation. Just not doing enough of it.
That checks out.
So that's pretty easy to fix.
Yeah, do more of it. I did 3-0 a draft for the first time yesterday.
Oh,
so I'm basically already done with draft prep. I don't have to do it anymore.
mhm.
I have legitimately 3-0'd one draft ever of this set, and it was yesterday. And I have done a lot of drafts. I don't know what it is about this draft. I cannot do it. So I'm just hoping at this point I have a bunch of more days that I'm just going to be drafting. But I'm just hoping that something magical happens the day of. It's just like, oh, this draft format was easy. But normally by now I'm just like, I'm 2-1-ing, 3-0-ing like every draft that I do. But that is not the case. So,
Do you think maybe that there's like more people who are grinders and you're playing against like on average better people? Or do you think it's like not relevant?
I don't think that's any different than the other events. Because like normally at this stage before a pro tour, I am going X2 or 3-0 every time.
Mhm.
Or almost every time. Right now I'm just like, oh, I finally got a 3-0.
Nice.
Every time I win my first match, I'm just like, oh my, this almost never happens. I won the first match. And it's even worse because I can't identify why. So if other people are out there feeling the same way, I don't know what it is. I hate this draft set. I absolutely hate it. But
yeah, it's got some issues. I don't know. It's like classic Flesh and Blood draft, right? It's just like Uprising all over again. Except
I feel it just feels worse to me because there's too many
consistent.
Too many gotchas. And like you just like miss something and you're just out. Like, oh, I drew reds. Like, oh, I drew all blues. Oh, I drew too many 2-blocks. Oh, they swung what I thought was going to be a normal turn and then they reacted twice and now I'm down to 4 health. Like I can never not block ever again for the rest of the game and now I have to worry about a bunch of it's just like weird stuff just can happen all over the place.
Do you think that's like something that would be different if you were doing them IRL, where like you could have a better read on what your opponent's going to be doing?
Maybe, but it's like pretty hard to just be like you're like assassin player that you're playing against is just like dagger, incision. Oh yeah, I guess I'll just take it. Like, okay, like that's just like not real life some of the time.
Fair enough.
And you're like, oh, I'm planned on blocking some of it, like, or whatever.
Just ask them if they have incisions, man. It's that easy.
Yeah. Or like the Fang player, and then you like block with one, and they're just like, no, I have all the reacts on this one. And you're like, oh, okay. I will take the damage.
Yeah.
Or you'll just play against Syndra, and then you're like, okay, I'm gonna beat the Syndra, and they're just like, no, my hand does 20 damage. Like, can you not draw the perfect hand? Can you just like draw a normal Syndra draft hand? Like, no, this one does 20 damage.
See, those to me feel way worse than the like attack reaction stuff, because that one at least you feel like you had a chance. Like you could have put your cards down in a certain order that like would have made it work. Whereas when Syndra does 20, there's like I can't spawn 4 blocks in my hand, you know. Like,
but it's just like how you're supposed to play against these decks that have reactions. It's just like most of the time you're not supposed to ever even play around those things. Like, oh, I put 1 card here normally, or I put 2 cards here if this is going on. But this is just like I put 1 card here and then I took 8 damage. And I was expected to put another card on the other one. Like,
yeah, the draft like demands a lot of things, right? Like you need like a bunch of D-reacts to account for what you're describing there. But then if you have these D-reacts, then sometimes your hand's not converting because you draw like...
Do you think there's some merit towards, maybe this is like too hard to consistently pull off, but is there some merit to like practicing cracking packs yourself and just like training your skill at noticing all the attack reacts that pass through, and kind of like imagine you're like counting cards at a casino. Like you have like a 2-sided scale where you're like, okay, here was a react that cost 1 that passed by. That's draconic. Here's a react that requires 2 things to like it can only be played on the second chain link. Here's a non-draconic react. Here's like a pledge fealty, tooth of the dragon type thing, and just like kind of have an idea in your mind of like how many cards are in each of those categories, so you can make a math-based decision on your blocks.
I mean, the answer to that would always be yes. There would be some value. There'd always be some value, right? Like,
yeah.
So you can never say no to that. But I mean, people already do this. Like we already do this in some drafts when you're like tracking cards, or you're like, oh, it's a little harder in this set. But in the past, it's always been like, oh, I know I passed this powerful card. They probably have that. I should probably plan around and play around that. So like, it is very similar if you're passing, but it's just like a mix of like having to pick your lane pretty quickly, and then you need armor. But in order to take armor, you usually have to give up power, and then you need D-reacts, but the D-reacts give up power. And then if any of your hands just like, because it's such a low damage format, if any of your hands just draw poorly, you can sometimes just lose it any type of like aggression that you had and just get too far behind. I don't know. Obviously people do well at it, so there is skill in the format. It's just this format doesn't line up with how I like to play the game at all, apparently. Where it's
a bit
causing problems on every end for me.
Yeah, it's a bit volatile for sure. Like all three of these heroes have somewhat reliable like 20 damage turn potential. Like Sin just has like the 4s into 7 or whatever. Arachne gets to do the fun contract thing where you give your contract go again and draw like 4 cards. And then I think Fang usually gets there off of what's it called, only his legendary card, Brimstone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if you have Brimstone or if you have like Long Whisker or Power Stance, those types of like setup kind of cards.
So like I can see some hate for this format. It kind of like takes some of the lesser enjoyable parts of like Uprising and the drafting process with like I don't know, what was the most reacty set? Like Heavy Hitters?
I mean, Heavy Hitters was reacty, but
Outsiders?
I liked Heavy Hitters a lot more than this set.
There's just like so many reactions in this set. And then you also have like the Monarch thing where you're just kind of dawdling until you use 20 each
let's
other.
Be real.
I think that in your deck.
I think you liked Heavy Hitters more because you were the one just forcing Kasai and being the one with the reacts, and then it's not like the other decks had real reacts, so it feels good when you're the one reacting and they have to react.
No, but it was a lot less, right? It wasn't like you don't block the one attack dagger like Cody was saying, and then you take 10.
Yeah, that stuff happened a lot less often. Also, it was only like one hero that really applied to for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
And then I didn't even draft Kasai at Pro Tour that year, even after drafting only Kasai the whole time. I was just like the KO player, and I like 3-0'd with it. And it was like great. Like none of that other stuff mattered. So like I didn't draft Kasai at once because everyone had caught up to that by the time we got to Pro Tour. Mm-hmm. But like I even like Bright Lights more than this, and like Bright Lights is volatile, is super volatile. But like I had a great experience, one, actually picking the cards, and two, I thought the gameplay was way more interesting to me than this, because this doesn't feel like there's right answers. This feels like you're just guessing and hoping in a lot of the cases that they don't have the thing or they don't do the thing, and I don't like that at all.
Yeah, I think it makes like games are like exciting but not interesting, I think.
Sure. Tough. I don't know.
I find it fun, but not for competitive.
I have talked to a lot of people who love drafting the set, so I don't think what I'm saying is a majority opinion. I think it's just a me opinion, but I can't wait to start drafting a different set than this. This one's just not clicked with me at all, and the last like 4 draft sets I've loved. So it's been weird.
I think
so.
I
was hoping for a miracle. Yeah, maybe.
I think it's just too hard to get because you like have to take them early because they're so like overdrafted. But if you're not taking them early, you're not like locking in a hero early, and you're kind of playing the game of I hope I commit to the thing that no one else commits to at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's interesting.
I don't know. This is the first time I'm gonna go, and I'm gonna be like most of the time I go to draft, and I'm like hoping nothing goes wrong, because if things are just go fine, I will like X1 the draft more than likely. That's my like how I feel in my head. This one I'm going, I'm like, I hope some things go right, or I'm going to I'm gonna like 2-4 the draft or something. But every other time it's like, I just hope nothing goes wrong. I'll get out of here with an X2 at the worst. But I'll more than likely X1 this, and then this is the complete opposite. I'm like, I hope I sit down and then like it's real obvious what I'm supposed to be, and no one else switches in, and I just get fed. Like that's like
yep.
I don't think that is a good plan for London.
You got time. Go figure it out.
Okay. I did want to, it's a little hodgepodge today because we're going to catch up for London. I did want to ask, after this weekend, there's been some, talk of some decks that have been floating around. What are a couple of maybe dark horses you think could show up at London deck wise that you would be surprised at top aided, but like it would be kind of exciting. It's not like complete. You're not like it's not like Tekla where it's like impossible, right? Like it's
Yeah. No, I think Slippy is like sick. He performed really well. It's kind of like you have to dodge Aurora in a sense, but Slippy is like he's pretty close to that bucket of decks that I've referenced before of just like silly decks like Dio and Kano and like Azalea, where like sometimes they just draw the perfect combination of cards and it doesn't really matter if it's a bad matchup, you just still lose. So I think Slippy is like definitely a dark horse. I don't even know if you could consider him a dark horse now since he's been actually putting up some decent results. But yeah, I think that deck's like very solid.
I mean, no one's playing Arachne Marionette anymore, right? That's like that was the drawback for playing Slippy. He was like super popular on release, but now I don't know. I haven't looked at the numbers, but I can't imagine he's really been showing up to these events lately.
It's also just like very awkward as the opponent, where a lot of people are jamming 4-block D-Reacts into their deck to be able to counter things like Aurora. But the 4-block D-Reacts like don't really work that well into Slippy, where he can like play Kiss of Death with Go again and flick it. It's kind of like awkward to cover that up unless you have exactly Shelter. But then you don't even know if your Shelter is going to get all the value because you could just go super tall on one attack as well. The 3+3 still requires 2 cards. It's not like the 4-block really helps you there. Same thing with 1 powers with Justinic. They can play Codex like so much easier. I'm sure y'all know as like assassin players how awkward Codex can be sometimes. If you have like a full grip, it can be like very card inefficient to like pitch multiple cards to daggers just because you want to resolve your Codex. But just being able to play out your whole hand every turn makes that card like a lot better. So yeah, I think that deck is like very, very good.
Yeah, I've been impressed with Slippy, putting some time into it previously to this as well. I think its Aurora match is kind of coin flippy, and maybe that can be more resolved for people or not. But overall, the deck's very popular. It's really hard to play Slippy at like a local level because Marios are still all over the place, and you just like don't want to have like 0%. It's why it's like hard for like Slippy to go to like this upcoming Pro Quest season. I think it'll be hard for Slippy, even if it's good, to really do well because like Mario is going to be pretty well played at the Pro Quest level more than likely. At least that's what I've seen going to like local tournaments. But at these bigger events where people are not bringing Mario, I think it really has a good chance to shine. Also, playing Bonds in Slippy is hilarious because you could just Bonds Go again, and now your opponent has literally no correct answers. There's not a single correct.
The correct answers have like 4 D-Reacts in hand.
And so that one's always like, if you're playing as Slippy, that one's always funny because you're like, I can use this as a bait, or you could be wrong, and these are all reactions. So good luck.
Or they could have 1 snag, and then
they could have
Slippy's
1
wrong.
whole snag. Yep. Anything else that you think?
Yeah, I would call out. I feel like everyone's tier lists are kind of the same at this point, where it's Enigma, Aurora at the top, by Aurora ahead of Enigma. So I would call out any deck that's like actively good into both of those. So like Noah called out Dio, I would think is quite good into both. Like even something silly like Boost Dash, that could just target both of those. Zen is a dark horse, I think. Like he's good into these decks. He's not as good as he once was, but I'd be looking at those 3.
We'll get to Zen. I think Fang is like a dark horse for me. I think that deck is much better than people think it is. Not necessarily. I think its Enigma match is like actually playable, which is pretty good for a warrior to actually have that matchup be playable. I think its Aurora matchup is kind of flippy, but it can just kind of has this ability just to win every match if it just like opens with the failty counters like fast enough. It just like can win anything, which is pretty unique for it. It's hard to play into, especially after they get turned on because they can do anything with their hand. But no, if I saw like a Fang go deep, like 1 Fang go deep on like day 2, I wouldn't be like super surprised. I think that deck is better than most people know it is.
Fang to me seems very similar to like Illusionist, where you kind of have this sense of like dread in the game, where if you give them any space, they can just like completely like take over. So yeah, I think it's really strong in that aspect of just like the life total matters somewhat, but they can totally stabilize if they're down like 27 to 12. They can just like stabilize and basically take no damage and just keep blocking efficiently and chipping you down and getting back in the game.
Agreed. I know we had Verdants do pretty well.
Yeah, I was gonna call it
Yeah.
Verdants as like a white horse. Is that a term that
Yeah.
people use where it's like the deck is terrible? I've never actually seen it win a game, but like somehow people keep bringing it to tournaments, and I hope they keep do for the sake of them being able to be my opponents. Because I just don't understand like why you would play that deck in CC.
No, I think the deck is pretty bad. It's very fun to play, but people keep putting up results with it. So it's obviously doing something against someone.
Yeah, I don't know if all of its opponents just like fall asleep in the chair. Or, like I don't actually understand how it wins.
I don't know if they forget that like you can put cards in front of their attacks and then not take the damage, but that is a legal game action.
Yeah.
So, but it's been doing well. I mean, if I saw one do well in day 2, I mean, I'm not gonna be surprised, right?
I'm not gonna be surprised just because it keeps getting results, but
it keeps getting there. Yeah.
I would be surprised if they like beat people that I think they shouldn't be beating.
Yeah, if they converted to like top 8, that would be a bit surprising. Anything else before we move on?
No, I mean we have like kind of the same cast of characters that are at the top, and we saw that like represented, I think, by most of the teams in the 3v3. We're just kind of like taking the top 3 decks. So if anyone's going to be doing anything shocking, it's going to be something secret that they've been hiding, or it's just going to be like a pretty normal representation of what we expect the top decks to be.
Yeah. Dan, tell me why this Zen thing is going on. What is happening with Zen at 991 points and might actually LL literally the week of Pro Tour?
I don't know, man. It's just dumb. That's all I got. It's like, I don't know. I don't really have much to comment on it.
Well, okay, wait. You can at least comment on the fact that it seems like LSS is like pushing the narrative.
Like actively, yeah, cool. They're actually promoting it.
Yeah, they think this is like an awesome thing. Like that's like their main marketing push is like, will he do it? Will he stay legal? Will he get banned?
I mean, that makes sense, right? Like their priority is most likely on marketing and promoting the game over the experience of their couple hundred Pro Tour players. Like I think that's a valid thing. Like that's what makes the money to keep making the game. But from a competitive perspective, it's just dumb. Like, I don't know how you're possibly considering Zen and putting time into Zen when, like, a couple days before, they're just going to be like, nah, you can't play that deck anymore. I don't know. But we talked about it enough. Like, there should be some kind of grace period, I think, that they implement. But I think maybe in their mind, there's like
about it.
A bunch of people who just only play one deck ever. And I don't know. I don't understand, like, what the Zen players are supposed to do. Like, if you're planning to bring Zen to this Pro Tour and then he does LL this weekend, hit us up in the comments and let me know how you adjusted.
Yeah. What is your game plan? Because if he does LL, which he could, that'll be you could. I don't know what you do. Like,
yeah, the scenario just should not exist. Like last weekend, sure, whatever. Like that sucks a lot still, but you can recover. But if he gets, I don't know, like people are going to be on their plane, right? Like we talked about this. They're literally going to be flying to London and then they land and they're like, oh shit, I can't play my deck. Why am I here? I don't know. Just, I can't even attempt to understand the logic of wanting to create this situation and promoting the situation, but here we are.
If Zen does leave, in my opinion, it doesn't even shake up the meta that much. Like, because it's so fair right now, where it's just like 55% to everything, right? Like,
yeah, and Zen's also just not part of the current meta because why would you play Zen?
Yeah,
when he might LL.
So, I mean, I think there's probably some heroes that are hoping he goes away. Like, most people, like, if you're not playing Zen, are probably just like, oh, it's fine if he goes away. I just lose, like, that's like one more kind of losing matchup that's gone, or coin flip matchup that's gone.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's, like, targeting Zen, right, for this event, so I agree.
No one's targeting him. I guess Enigmas are probably kind of happy about it. Like, they don't have to deal with it.
Yeah. It's not even that bad.
So, Other than that, I guess we will see poor Zen players, poor people.
Yeah, my Zen's out of deck box. He's just sitting on the side there. All the CNCs are out of that deck and in a different deck. Poor guy.
Poor guy.
I might bring it still.
You got to bring it back up.
Yeah.
You can bring everyone that brings Zen has to bring a second deck. If you're just going, I would like to hear in the comments if anyone is actually just going with just Zen. So like, I'm leaving this week just Zen. They're that sure. Cool. Okay. We do have a pretty big announcement that I did want to make as well. As some people know, we've been looking for a new sponsor for the team moving in, and we interviewed quite a lot of people. We were very lucky enough to find somebody who is basically a FAB store, who loves playing FAB, and everyone who's probably met this person loves this person. I don't see how you can't. But our new sponsor is going to be Gilded Raven Games. The owner of that is Bob. If you've seen Bob, you know Bob. He is a great guy, very fun, very loud, has a great mustache as well. Plays Vinset for all the people out there who love Vinset. Maybe that's something that we can fix with the sponsorship. Get him a real deck. But they are a New Jersey-based game store. They focus primarily on FAB, but they do have other games. But they do vend almost all of the US-based events that they can get to. They will be vending in nationals, and they do have a website, which is gildedravengames.com. I would welcome you to come check it out, but they are a great store to support, and we're very excited to have them as our main sponsor on Runaways. Dan, I know you put a lot of time into this, and you actually are local of the store.
Yeah, super local.
So I don't know if you had any comments.
Yeah, no, I think you put it great. Like, it's a great store. Bob's a great dude. You can catch his Battle Hardened stream. I think it's still on YouTube somewhere. He was playing Vincent into a Katsu. But no, I'm extremely excited about this partnership. Expect some big things upcoming between the both of us. And yeah, if you're in the area, check out the game store. I cannot recommend it enough. Like, the store is just like crazy about FAB. Like, they do armories on Saturday night. You show up when they open. There's already like 8 people in there jamming CC, jamming Blitz. After the armory completes, they're playing a draft. After armory draft completes, they're playing another draft. Then they play poker for some reason. I don't know. They're just like constantly gaming, constantly playing FAB. Every time you walk in that store, you'll be seeing 1 to like 10 people cracking boxes of FAB.
Yep.
Whether it's
they
like
also
new
run
release
like
or not.
20 plus person armories. So like they are very dedicated to Flesh and Blood. Also, they have singles, which is kind of unusual for a local store. That's why they're much more like of a national store, because they have singles. They're usually cheaper than TCG Player. They ship. It's a pretty good deal. If you're currently a premium member of the Discord, we have a really cool announcement that'll be coming out for you guys with this partnership tomorrow, or when this goes live. So pretty excited about that. We'll talk about that more later. Okay, now what we should jump into is some podcast questions. We do have quite a lot of them going on. These are asked by premium members of our Discord. If you'd like to be able to ask questions on this podcast or find out what the cool secret thing is with Gilded Raven Games, feel free to join in the link below. But first question here is from Millen. This week, a simple question. Are you prepared for London?
No.
Dan?
I mean, you can never be prepared enough. Let's be real, right?
I'm more than
I'm
not prepared enough.
Not even close. Not even close draft wise. CC wise, I'm fine. Like, yeah, I could get more out of my CC than I think I normally could, but I feel good on CC. I'm not even close to Pro Tour ready on draft. So, no.
Yeah, no.
Sergio Kitchens asks, what is the worst deck you expect to do well at London? Verdance? Vincent?
Oh, gosh.
Nah, Vincent won't even do well.
No, Vincent won't do well. I don't believe
Kano.
in Verdance.
I think a Kano will spike.
No, please.
No way.
Yeah. Dude, who is possibly bringing Arcane Barrier to this Pro Tour?
Everyone?
I don't know.
I don't know what you mean, man. Like it's just so hard to justify Kano at a tournament this size, like with the split rounds. I don't know. I really hope people don't bring it. It's probably going to be like Fang or Slippy, like we were saying, but I don't think that those are like bad decks. Like most of the decks right now just aren't like objectively that bad.
I mean, I think you could say Florian. What is the worst deck that will do well? Probably Florian.
Yeah.
Florian, if a Verdance makes it, that's by far the worst deck that did well. But
Or I guess maybe this is Eugene C's time to shine, and Reinar will do well. That would be the worst deck that does well if he does well with it.
Cool. Warden77 asks, if you were in charge at LSS, what would you do in the next year to address card scarcity / cost concerns?
Well, I'm glad I don't have this job because I do not have an answer right away.
I mean, we're just missing so much context to like possibly have a proposal. But no, if I worked at LSS, I would instate some kind of grace period where heroes can LL within 2 weeks of a major.
Oh, here we go.
And then people would, I don't know, there'd be more cards on the market somehow.
Yep.
I think the scarcity thing is like very simple to solve. You just print more. Like part of the scarcity is just the fact that it's like so difficult to actually get product in general, like even sealed product. So
I think they're having issues with that though. Yeah. I don't think they're choosing not to print product. So I don't know. Maybe I would invest in my own card printing company.
That's not
like that's what I'm saying. Like I don't know what their budget looks like. Can they afford this?
Another thing they could do, actually, sorry, one more like real advice is like printing, like how they did Shelter, right? Being a Majestic in the set. I feel like part of their balancing for limited is printing certain cards at higher rarities, such that they don't appear in the limited format. Like if we've seen just examples kind of in every set of this where they want to print cards that are slightly better that make the CC format fun to play, but they don't want it like ruining limited, but they also want it to be part of the limited format in a sense. So I don't know, some more like creative solution there that allows for these cards maybe to be like duplicately printed in the expansion slot or something. Just some way of like bumping up the numbers of them while retaining the expected rarity to keep the draft format intact.
Yeah, I think that's a good one. I think pretty much everybody predicted the Shelter issue immediately.
Yep.
And yeah, I agree. Something could have been done to prevent.
Are you ready for the U.S. Nationals issue of every card is going to be $50 and then immediately drop to like $2?
Oh yeah.
Well, we don't necessarily know that's true because what if Gravy Bones is the only playable hero and everyone just pack in a structure deck and calling it a day?
Yeah.
Well, this is only like non-U.S. Nationals issue, right? Because we go first and then we sell all the cards after they spike.
No. Right? This is only a Nationals issue, only a U.S. Nationals issue. Because we need the cards as fast as possible. Everyone else has infinite time to get their cards.
If there are cards.
Yeah, there will be cards for them. For us, we have.
I don't know. I think we're doing okay because we're the first one, right? So cards are going to spike as a result of the event.
I don't know if you have to pick them up at the event.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't know. Apparently, all the stores who have pre-releases are going to have plenty of product, right?
Yeah, we'll see.
Or all the vendors.
If that's the case, if you can actually just buy it at your pre-release, then it'll probably just be fine. Randall asks, Brian Gottlieb, about a couple weeks ago, made a couple of comments about Oldhim. These quotes were, Oldhim was not a good deck for FAB, and Oldhim is his least favorite deck in the history of FAB. Randall would like to know what our thoughts on those statements from Brian are.
Well, just clarifying, you said Oldhim is my least favorite best deck. Like it was his least favorite deck that was the best deck in the format. Y'all have thoughts first because I don't want to ramble for too long. But I have thoughts.
I mean, I personally didn't have an issue with Oldhim existing. Especially when he came out. When he came out, I didn't think he was broken by any means. Not into the format of Prism, Chain, etc. when he was first released.
Yeah.
After the really powerful decks went away, then he became a problem.
Yeah, I thought he was really just more of a balance issue than like a playstyle issue. Like his weapon and shield are just probably the most egregious cards printed in the game for their like respective slots.
Mm-hmm.
I get
I
the
mean,
sentiment
and
though of like
Crown
just
of
like
Seas.
deterministically winning deck against a lot of matchups because he just like grinds you down.
But
I
most
don't
of that
know.
was
I didn't
Crown of
think it played out
Seas.
that way.
Yeah.
Okay, so my thoughts are firstly that I disagree that Oldhim was ever the best deck. I just think like in general in FAB, when they print cards, they put a 4 in the bottom left and they put a 3 in the bottom right. And you have to like do a lot of work to increase the value in the bottom right to be more than 3. And so in general, it's much easier to fit a lot of cards in your deck that give you more value on offense than they would on defense. So in order to make the game not just a race to see who has the better top, quarter, top third of their deck and all aggro mirrors, they have to print control decks that give you a compelling reason to play them. They'll never actually be like the best deck, but as the Randall mentions, they kind of allow you to beat opponents who maybe draw in a sequence that has much higher numbers, but because your cards are balanced to be more defensively minded, you're able to withstand the onslaught and eventually get to a point where you equalize the game, and then your deck is just better than theirs because their high powered offense cards start having to be used on defense because they're going to like run out of deck, run out of life total, etc. So I don't think that these decks are ever really the best deck. They just become the most attractive option for a lot of people to play to mitigate the variance of the fact that a basic FAB card is just better on offense than defense.
Yeah,
So
I'm
I
trying to
really like
think
when these kind of
when
decks
he was
exist.
the best deck. And I think the only time period you can try and make that argument for is Lexi. It's like PT Baltimore area.
Yeah,
I mean, it
I
won,
think
but
we
it
were
was
just
not the
like,
best deck at the time.
yeah, our finding was that Lexi just like dumpsters that matchup if you play it
Yeah,
right,
exactly.
right?
Yeah.
I think
I'm just trying to
the
think.
right before Icelander was a real deck. It was just like Oldhim and 5.
It's Prism. Prism just dumpstered him. Like absolutely just dumpstered him, right? Is that when we're
Did
talking
Prism
about? Or
still
we're talking about
exist?
we're talking
Prism
about
still
after
existed,
Lil?
yeah.
Are we talking about after Lil?
No, I'm talking like the Nationals where Hamilton brought Bolander.
Bullander.
Well, then Bullander was just the best deck.
Well, Bullander was the best deck though.
No, but I'm saying so like the day before that event when Bolander wasn't a deck.
But
Well,
Bullander
maybe
was
Oldhim.
a
that's
deck.
not how formats work.
Yeah, what do you mean? Formats are just the tournaments we play.
Yeah.
Sure.
So you have to like reference an event before that. And I think the last event before that was like Stubby's Fi, which was surely just better than Oldhim.
No, you went too far.
So what's before that then?
Lil.
Yeah.
But Lil still had Prism.
Yeah.
Agreed. I
And
don't know.
Briar
The
was
battle
also
hardened in
better.
between the two. Either way, I agree. Oldhim was. I don't think it was ever really the best deck.
I just think that style of a deck where you're just literally asking your opponent if they have the ability to beat you is never actually like the best deck. So I don't think that it's fair to make the comment of it like being favorite, not favorite best deck because it never was the best deck. But I do think that it's reasonable to say that maybe his cards were a little bit too good at defense, where if you were a worse player, you had actually close to 0%, like you were saying. And there should always be in card games some ability for you to upset someone. Because that's just like, otherwise, why would people ever start playing the game if they're literally just going to have a 0% win rate for, all their first games? You have to have some ability to beat people who are better than you because of draw sequence. So yeah, I think maybe it was just slightly overtuned on the, as Dan mentioned, those key callouts of Winter's Wail and Stalagmite just being like, it doesn't even matter how we draw because these cards start on the board.
Hey, he just gets 11 value out of his offhand. Why does he even get an offhand?
Yeah, but those are the kind of things where I think at like the higher level of play become like really cool game pieces because you know that as an opponent you have to craft your game plan knowing that they will just always have this, so you can like cook a game plan that works through it. Whereas like if you're a more new player, you're still figuring out what you're doing yourself. You're not necessarily at the level where you're worrying about what your opponent's doing.
I think Oldhim. I mean, it was just a Crown of Seeds issue, right? Like, if there was no Crown of Seeds, his reign would have been like way worse. Also, Oldhim had the best, in my opinion, the best mirror in the game ever. Like playing Oldhim mirrors was phenomenal. I love playing Oldhim mirrors. I do that for days.
Mm-hmm. Well, playing Oldhim mirrors is great because it doesn't have that problem I just mentioned earlier. There's no like extreme offensive overlap where it's like, oh, I just drew the nuts early game, so I win. It was like you were grinding them out.
I don't know. I enjoyed it. I didn't really have an issue with Oldhim even during the time, and I played him on and off. I think it was just a deck you had to look out for. There's typically always an aggro deck that was better than it. There's typically an illusionist around that would cause some issues with it. It had some periods where it felt like it was pretty strong. For the most part, you just needed a good game plan, but it's hard to, I don't know.
To be honest,
It's hard.
I also think there's some element of it being really fun to get in the lab and theory how you would beat an Oldhim because you like know what they're going to do. They're going to be defensive and try to just stop you from being able to play the game. Occasionally, they'll have a couple real attacks that they throw. You know, they'll have like, CNC, Spinal Crush, maybe on this winner. And you can just like figure out a strategy that should work without actually needing to spend infinite time grinding games and hoping to see specific tech cards in the top quarter of your deck. So I think it's like a lot of fun to prepare against it. And this is coming from someone who like never actually played it. I didn't own a Winner's Whale or a Crown of Seeds. Like I literally never purchased these cards until I wanted to play that LL Starvo deck. So this is my POV is solely from someone who played against Oldhim with a bunch of different strategies, and I always enjoyed my time.
You would have loved the strat for Baltimore that I made with Lexi to like guarantee you beat it back when we were playing like Remembrance and stuff for the matchup.
Mm-hmm.
Like one of the original ways was just put back 3 of a kinds, and then you just play 3 of a kind on one turn and pass, and then play 3 of a kind another turn and pass.
Mm.
And then you just have like an 8-9 card hand at the end, but they don't have any damage. So like it doesn't matter. And then you just kill them. That was like it just got over like any of their in-game states that were an issue. There's some tri-shot setups as well that existed at the time that you could set up, but we had like infinite strategies into Fatigue at the time where none of the players who were trying to play Fatigue would play against.
And that kind of stuff is so fun because you can cook up that strategy and it just like will work every time because you're going to get through your whole deck. So you can just like always set it up. It's not like,
well, if they knew you were doing it, they could try and counter stack like Oakenolds specifically for that turn. And then so we would try and shorten the turn to like set like a 3 of a kind, hold a 3 of a kind, and then you can do it. I don't know. Yeah. It was funny.
That stuff is cool. That's like the kind of stuff that can only happen in FAB, you know? You can't get that experience in any other game.
Yep.
Yeah, I think based on what you're saying there, my biggest issue with Oldhim is the fact that they banned Belittle. Because that was the counterplay for some decks. Like that was the strategy to counter.
True. Okay, Galaxy asks. He says, great game, first Noah in top 8. And then the question of the week is, now that Zen is on his way out, is there any world where Katsu can become a deck in this format? He feels very unexplored. And then Wax On, Wax Off might have merit into Aurora. I would say not when we live in the world of a million DRX.
Yeah.
Yeah, it feels
unfortunately,
very hostile.
There's a lot of strays there. One thing to note, though, is if it's like a meta where D-Reacts are good, but not a lot of people are playing them just for whatever reason, like their deck doesn't support it. Maybe they're playing like Ranger is popular, for example. So like Ranger won't be playing D-Reacts, but people will play them to counter Ranger. Katsu can always discard his D-Reacts when he has tempo. So that's just like a nice, like, I think that's probably the biggest benefit of Katsu hero power, since his hero power was designed in the olden days, you know, when you had to discard to get cards. You didn't just get them for free. But being able to discard your D-Reacts when you want to turn them into attacking cards is pretty strong.
Yeah. I love discarding my D-Reacts.
Yeah, you do it for nothing, dude.
Yeah.
Do it just to feel alive.
What is Cody's sideboard notes? Open slots, put in the D-React you could discard.
Yep.
Mayliv asks, as a fairly new player attending the first tier 3 event, Lending, do you have any advice? I've heard people say not eating or snacking or the opposite is a common mistake. What are the best snacks, etc.?
That was certainly a way to read that message.
I think I got the gist of it.
Yeah, I thought
Yeah.
that was
Okay.
fine.
Yeah. Yeah. Fair.
I'd say definitely print your sideboard notes. That's like a free resource that everyone has access to. That like I see more people doing it now than they used to, but literally free. You can do all the planning up front. Don't have to stress about it on the day of. And yeah, stay
Even I do that.
hydrated. Snack between rounds. I don't know, get like protein bars or nuts or something. You can also
Oh,
wash your
don't eat
hands
nuts.
between rounds. Like it's okay if your hands get
Wait.
a little messy.
No, don't eat nuts. Dude, I always get on edge when my opponent's eating nuts before, and then they don't wash their hands and they play against me.
Mm.
They're
That's good. That's a
cosplaying
good
assassin.
awareness call out though.
They're cosplaying assassin in real life.
No, that's a good shout. If you eat nuts in between rounds, make sure you wash your hands
You
before
have
your
like
game.
some hand sanitizer. Wash your hands, or do some. But yeah, definitely don't eat dusty foods.
Mm.
That's probably the easiest way to mess
Like
up your
Cheetos,
card.
you mean?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Cheetos, Doritos, that kind of thing, or anything with like sugary syrup kind of stuff on the outside, or
Yeah.
chocolate, or
You just gotta
things
listen to
like
your body and see what you need. Like sometimes just a snack isn't good enough. Like if I'm really feeling weak, I usually go for like a hot dog or something.
Yeah, I think that one of the more important things is to make sure you know your body's like sugar, caffeine, like uh, carbs, that kind of thing. Just like how you respond to these different types of substances, because you don't want to be the person who just totally fades midway through because you ate like a burger and then you're just like, all right, I'm cooked. Like I'm super sleepy now. I can't finish the rest of the event and like be alert. Um, but you also do want to make sure that if you're the person who needs some food, otherwise you get sleepy, that you have a couple weeks, right? Just do some test runs and be like, all right, how am I feeling now? Let me try this this type of snack in the middle of my day, and how does it make me feel? Imagine you're in that tournament setting, and yeah, just leverage this time to do some test runs. Um, yeah, Cody, I don't know if you have anything else.
Yeah, I think I've done really well with this in the last several events that I played at. At least that's how it's felt. And it's I used to never eat anything, and I think that's still viable as a strat. But I've been introducing just like kind bars, or some
Oh,
type of like
introducing
granola type
kindness.
bar. Well, you wouldn't like it. It has nuts in it.
Yeah, it also has kindness. I'm not a fan of
Yeah.
that.
So, and just like having like one of those at some point in the day has actually helped a lot. I think. And then I also always have a water, and then I have like a soda or some item that has caffeine and sugar. So I have both of these drinks and throughout the whole day. And so after every round, I just take a drink of each of them. Like I have to, like, I consciously always make sure I take, one drink that has the sugar and caffeine, and I take one of the water, and we're good to go. And like do that every time. And then after some amount of rounds, I probably have like one of like the granola type bars. And it's just, I think it's made it so there's no spikes. It's just like I feel very continual throughout the whole day, and then maybe like right around the last round is when I'm like, okay, I'm about done for the day.
Hmm.
But the last several events, I've been like on the last round, and I'm like, I'm ready to go. I can play some more.
Yep. Yeah, I think it's very valuable to just establish a routine with yourself in between each round. My personal routine is I have like this 20-ounce water, so I drink at least half of it between each round, and every round I go to the bathroom. Just like my
Mhm.
body gets established in that cadence of every round. Go to the bathroom, wash hands, fill up water, and then chat with people if I have time, and then go to my next round. So just like be sure you're aware of where all the facilities are if you're um, yeah, just like based on what you need as well as like food options in the area. Be sure also when you get there on the for the first day of the tournament that you get there early enough to where in case something goes wrong, you don't get entered in the tournament. You have time to go up to the judge stand and like make sure that everything is okay. You just don't want to be like rushing. Maybe you can't find the venue if it's like a large event hall and you're like in hall E, but you got into the building at hall A and you're scrambling. So just be sure you give yourself that time period in the morning.
Yep.
Yeah.
I have a couple
Wait
more.
one sec.
Okay,
Yeah,
go ahead, Dan.
they added more. Oh, do you want to go, Dan?
Yeah, comfortable shoes.
Mm-hmm.
Reduce the weight of your bag as much as you can. Only bring what you need. And then make sure you have things like Advil and allergy medicine in your bag. Like you don't want to be getting like a random allergy attack that's like making it hard for you to think clearly just because you're sneezing and coughing or whatever.
No, steal cough drops from people named
Mhm.
Noah
Yeah.
throughout the entire event.
Yep.
That's how you
Yeah,
do
I
it.
always bring cough drops. Yeah, because you're talking all day too. If you have like a type of job where you're not talking that much, it can be like tough on your throat to be communicating all day. And be sure you do communicate too. By the way, don't be nervous to talk. I know it's gonna, if you haven't been to an event like this before, it may be like nerve wracking just interacting with all these strangers, but you have the common language of great games, as James White said. So you can always talk to people about FAB, and never be afraid to call judge if you have any question. Actually, this came up in one of my games this past weekend where my opponent was running Crown of Dominion and didn't create the gold token, and neither one of us noticed it until like turn 2. Like they went first, I played my turn, then they went to play their turn, and they had drawn Arc Lightning Flicker, and they're like, oh wait, where's my gold? So then they called judge, and the judge just like said, oh yeah, you get to have your gold. No idea if that's how it'd be ruled at a major event, but that's how the judge ruled it there, and it's like the judge's responsibility to make rulings. So yeah, just never try to just go along with what your opponent is saying. If you think it's not as per the rules, it's always within your right to call a judge. Okay, wait, I have one more thing. They asked another thing in this question. They say, are you allowed to scout, or do you leave the playing area once your game is concluded? Personally, I love scouting. There's a lot of heroes in this game, like Dory, Dash, Inventor Extraordinaire. I'm not sure if there's any others, like Riptide, I guess. So there's a decent amount of heroes where they can be built in multiple different ways. So I think being able to scout, I usually will scout within like the 50 table radius of where I'm at right now, so it can best inform me of who I could be playing within my next round. So yeah, totally allowed to scout, and you can watch games. And even if you're not scouting for the purpose of scouting, I just kind of, especially if my game finished really quick, I want to stay like locked in on FAB. I don't want to like go outside and start playing a game on my phone and just totally like dissociate from the tournament. I want to like stay locked in and be watching a game so that maybe I learn something. I see like a play someone made that was either a really good play that I didn't think of, because like you stand behind them, you can see their hand, right? You can like evaluate what you would do in that situation. Or maybe you see someone make a play that was like not good, but you can see how their opponent responded to it, and maybe the opponent didn't exploit the play that was bad, but you're like, oh, okay, I see where like someone could make this error, and maybe I could exploit it if I was the opponent in the situation. So yeah, you're totally allowed to watch as much FAB as you want when you're at a tournament.
Fair. Inobe asks, it was my understanding that team events did not grant LL points. Was it already planned for there to be points at the team battle hardened last weekend, or was it a communication failure on LSS part? I would say I heard that there weren't points, and then I heard that there were points, and then there were points. So I guess they're points.
Yeah, it was just a bit unclear. Now we know for next time, I guess.
Now we know for next time.
Hopefully it's the same next time.
Yeah, hopefully they don't change it. Paxi asks, what's your least favorite hero printed to date, and why?
I feel like this is a kind of a fed question, Like I love all heroes. Please.
No, it's not even close.
That's not even close.
No.
Everyone's least favorite hero is New. Come on.
What? Wait, you don't like New?
Surely.
Dude, New is great.
Dude, I hate New.
New is one of my favorite heroes.
It's mainly like any hero I'm playing against that annoys me. Like,
true.
I can't stand Kano and Dio. All those decks that are in my hater bucket, like Kano, Dio, Azalea. I'm not a fan of those. I don't mind New at all. The thing I hate the most, I think the thing I probably hate the most in the game is like cards that randomly banish from the top of the deck. I don't know why. It's just like one of my least favorite mechanics. When they banish from the top of the deck, and the game is like very heavily decided based on what happens. Like for example, in like Dio, they banish off the top of the deck, and it's the one that puts an additional Steam counter. I forget the name, the one from the Armory deck. That could just be like, okay, you just like drew a card for free. Or your opponent pitches a Light of Soul, and it's a Yellow Herald. Oh, you just like got a soul and got a Figment for free. Like these kind of effects that just like interact randomly with the top of the deck are my least favorite. So
Ancestral Harmony.
Yeah, Ancestral Harmony, right? Just like such a cringe card. Like sometimes it's a 0 for like 10, and sometimes it just like, gives your 2 combo cards +2, and it's like whatever. But yeah, I think any card that just like interacts randomly with the top of the deck and has like huge spikes into what it can do. Persuasive Prognosis, right? Sometimes you play it and it just like banishes a color they don't have, and you're like, okay, who cares? Sometimes it rips like the the random yellow out of your hand. You're like, okay, what are the odds I play 3 yellows and it hits my yellow and now my turn's unplayable, right? So
Yeah, it happens to people at major events sometimes.
yeah.
I do. I think all the ones that you mentioned are my least favorite decks. Like Kano, Azalea, Dio. These are the decks that I just got irrationally angry when I lose to, because I hate how they play.
Yeah, it just feels like you have no control as the opponent because your opponent's just like rando going off the top of the deck and hitting the nuts.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Tweedle asks, imagine you're set to go to London Calling. Would you rather play Verdance or Florian, assuming very limited amount of testing time available?
I mean, Florian. But
Florian is the better deck.
I would play Florian.
Florian is the only playable.
But I would play Verdance before I would play Florian.
Yeah, I don't agree with that. At least Florian is like a real deck.
That's because I like Verdance, and I like that it just finds a way to win sometimes. Like I feel like I just have ways where I can have game plans.
This is not Pro Tour.
Yeah. It's
okay, maybe you can get some juicery going on with Verdance in the Calling. Okay, I don't hate that.
I just don't want to play like Florian Mirrors and stuff. I mean, Verdance Mirrors wouldn't be as good, but that's way less likely to happen. And I think you can. I think you can out game plan some people with Verdance.
Well, they said very limited amount of testing time. I think
that's why I said for them, they should probably just play Florian.
Yeah, because like it's easy. Just get to 8 and then 1 card 5 every turn and block with the rest of your hand. You'll be fine.
Yeah. If you've already played like 100+ hours of Verdance, then maybe Verdance is fine. But like if you haven't done that, then just play Florian. Rinzo asks, some of you, Noah, played Enigma. What are your thoughts on 10K?
I just don't believe in that card. It's pretty simple. It's totally fine to play, but I just don't like the deck already has enough like gimmicks to it that I don't feel like adding a whole nother gimmick that also forces me to play an equipment piece that I don't want to be playing.
I think 10K before the boots came out was significantly better.
Mm-hmm.
So 10K is like really good when you need to have a higher I win button in a matchup, because the deck already has that. I think 10K is way more expensive to run now simply because of the boot different selection that you have to make. However, math wise in the deck, it makes quite a lot of sense to have 10K, because it increases the amount of combo pieces you have that work off of each other. Because if you don't need your arms for Arcane Barrier, it means that you have 6 cards in your deck that allow you to put 10K on the board, between like Manny and then Astral Etchings. And the amount of like combos that you can create into the deck that work that way, the better the Enigma deck functions on average. You need like the more like 2 card combos that you can put in. So like math wise in the deck, 10K makes sense. However, it's a pretty big ask to switch your boots that way. But I think 10K is fine. You just got to know why you're running it versus just like slapping it into the deck all the time. And like you have to really be thinking that it makes some of your harder matchups better for running it. I think too many people run it into decks that they're going to beat already, and they're like, "See, 10K did a thing. It was great." You're just like, it's kind of like I don't know how to win this matchup, so I'm just going to put 10K in and hope. But you already win the matchup, so it's like you don't need the 10K.
Yeah, to me, I'm looking at like Slippies and Syndras, and like those are the matchups that are hard for me. Why? I don't think 10K is really doing me much good in those matchups.
Yeah.
You shake head, Dan. You think differently?
I was working out the math on the damage when you play the 10K. If it's just good enough, even if it dies to a flick, it might still be
close. Yeah, it's pretty close.
Well, because the problem is you're also giving up flexors, right? Which is like huge in those matchups.
Yeah, before flexors came out, I think 10K was like way more reasonable.
I agree.
Yeah. Sam says, "What's your favorite card you haven't been able to take to a major this past year?"
Is this in reference to a card, like favorite card that I've played before, or just like a card that I've always wanted to play but I've just never played?
I think it's just a card you've always wanted to play that you never got to register. It's kind of how I take it.
I mean, I've always wanted to play Blast to Oblivion. That card just like so fun. Just like love the concept of like bouncing stuff, but I just like don't. It's not really good in Aurora, and I've never played a Cilio seriously. So yeah, that's what I'm sad about. But in terms of cards that now that the new Ranger's coming out and like brewing with 3 of a kind, I really miss playing 3 of a kind. It's like there's nothing better than blocking 9 and playing 3 of a kind off of Tunic, drawing like blue, red, red. You're like, oh, we're off to the races. It's just like it feels so unfair. So yeah, that's my favorite card that I've played before that I want to be able to play again. But in terms of card I've never played, is probably Blast.
Mine's easy. Mine's Solitary Companion. I absolutely love this card. I'm still not playing it in London.
Okay.
I don't think I'll ever get the register Solitary Companion. But I love that card. Just like the block 3 cards, put this on the board, move on with my life is just like everything I love about playing the game.
Yeah, that's funny.
Okay, sorry. Yes,
Yeah, I don't know what mine is. For me, like Shifting Winds comes to mind. I don't think I ever got to play it at a major. Right? Because didn't it? I think. Oh, so you count Nats?
I think Nats counts.
So is Nats a major?
I think you got to register Shifting Winds last year.
I'll undo that then. I thought Nats didn't count. I don't know then.
Maybe I'll pick the most meme-ass cards.
I'll go with Coax of Commotion. That's definitely a long time favorite.
Yeah, Coax is more respectable.
And I was convinced when Rosetta first came out that it was extremely good in Aurora for that meta.
Yeah, Coax is cool. It's like a relic of a bygone time. Could come back up at some point, but
yeah, you haven't lived till Solitary Companion is a good card in your deck.
I don't think we'll ever live where that's a good card in the deck. But
I don't think we'll ever live because I think Enigma will probably rotate out before that is ever the case.
Yeah.
Okay, a Big Hungry asks, with an ever-expanding roster of heroes, especially playable ones, do you think it is time we expand the amount of sideboard slots we have access to?
You're shaking your head no?
I don't. Nope.
I think that one of the only limiting factors to what I was talking about earlier, where bad players, not bad players, but less experienced players can beat more experienced players, is in the fact that more experienced players can't register a 150 card deck. Because if you just had access to every card to stop the opponent, then the better player would win it even more often than they do now. So I think like the fact you can only play an 80 card deck is helping out there, and it just like makes deck building much more interesting, knowing that you have to make sacrifices. That's like part of a fundamental of a card game, is that you always have to make trade-offs and sacrifices and guess as to what's going to end up being better. Sometimes you're right, sometimes you're not.
Also, decks that require less sideboarding are inherently stronger as well. There's like a give and take to that as well in the meta. Like that's like it's a reason to play a deck if the core is strong enough that allows you to like silver bullet a bunch of stuff. It's like one of the reasons like the new Zen deck was really strong in the last format was because like the sideboard was legitimately just all tech. Like you had the Zen deck and then you just had like 14 cards, like 10 of them being D-reacts in your sideboard of what you wanted for the matchup, and then like a couple of other like pieces for matchups, and you're just like, yeah, I don't need anything else other than the core in my deck. And that's like one of the reasons it was good.
Yeah, I think it's dangerous to add any more spots.
Agreed. Well, if you're going to be in London, make sure you come up, say hi. I cannot wait to get on the plane, go to London, eat a jacket potato, eat as many potatoes as I can find. It sounds like that's going to be great over there. But anything else before we get out of here? No. Have fun. We'll see you in a couple weeks.
Yeah, we're getting rid of the envelope here, but
What we could do here is go ahead and play the envelope.
All 3 pitches of Envelope and Darkness.